Hello and welcome to Media Mastery Show. Thanks for your patience for those that are hopping on live right now. We have had a few technical issues. We are in Mercury retrograde right now, and apparently there's tech issues happening all over the place. So if you're feeling at all like you're having a few technical issues, you're not alone. So thanks for your patience. Here we are on the Media Mastery Show. I'm Aldwyn Altuney, and my guest today is the lovely Kim Atkins. She is known as the website SEO chick, and we're going to be talking today about how to increase your online exposure using free organic traffic methods with Google and social media hub sites. Now, Kim's been working in the field since 2001, and she's helped hundreds of businesses worldwide boost their mass media exposure and leads. And today we're going to look at ideal target audiences, why old methods of SEO don't work anymore, and how to use social media to grow your business organically. Hello and welcome, Kim.
Hello, Aldwyn. Thank you. Hello, everybody. How are you today?
Thanks so much for joining us today, and I know we've got a few people really excited about this show that are hopping on, and thank you for those joining us live right now and for those watching the recording as well. So Kim, tell us a bit about your background. How did you get into doing SEO and websites for people back in 2001? That must have been the very early days of the internet back then. So how did you start out in this field?
Yes, it was. I was actually doing desktop publishing and just doing offline advertising and marketing for local businesses. And I had a real estate developer approach me and wanted a development site done for him. And he asked, "Can you do this for me?" And I said yes. And then I thought, well, how am I going to? But I said yes first, and that got me started on the road to taking the offline business online myself.
Fantastic, that's great. And so, sort of scrambling and how to courses on how you got your first website going. Are you with us there? Yeah. Oh, we just cut out for a minute?
I think we might have just cut out for a little bit.
Okay. Well, it's a Mercury retrograde, as we mentioned, so we may have a few tech issues on this show. Hopefully no more. Stay away, no anymore. Okay, so back to what I was saying. So we were saying that you started out in 2001 with your first website. So, and you didn't really know how to do a website back then, but you worked it out somehow. Did you sort of Google at the time how to do it, or did you go to courses and learn how to do it? What did you do to get started in this field?
But basically, back then it was a lot of trial and error. I just learned how to do it. I'd been doing it all desktop publishing. It was just putting that online. And then I got really interested in how to get it up on search, how to get it showing and everything. And basically, I learn by doing, and I do.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so I just plugged away, learned how to do it, learned by lots and lots of mistakes. And, just it's still learning today, as you can see, with technical issues.
Yes, and you never stop learning, or you never learn less, as the lovely Daryl Grant once said. I'll never forget that at a seminar I was at. And of course, you've worked with Andrew and Daryl Grant and many other very well-known speakers on the internet marketing circuit, and have literally helped hundreds of businesses now. So I think it's fantastic to have an open mind. And of course, now Google has changed so much, haven't they, with with the whole world of SEO. Can you explain a bit about how much things have changed since you started out, and what used to work with SEO, you said the other day, doesn't work anymore. So can you explain a little bit about some of those changes and what's actually happening now with Google?
Yeah, so Google's getting smarter, and it actually a couple of years ago it rewrote its whole algorithm to be not so much a search engine anymore, but an answer engine. Okay, so what Google does is it answers, and it wants to answer people's questions. Okay, before it was just a search engine. All you had to do was basically put in a few bits and pieces, put them in the right place, and you could get a website up in search fairly easy. Now, because back then people were getting inappropriate websites up, and it didn't matter what you Googled, you pretty much count that you would get some sort of a XXX site or something like that.
Right.
So Google had to get smarter. If you look at Google, it's basically a business. It's a bit like a magazine, okay? So it needs people advertising in there to stay viable. So it needs to keep its users happy. If people come along and search and don't get the relevant sites coming up, they're going to stop using Google, okay? And a lot of people think that Google is, you know, the god, but Yahoo, Bing, all those, and quite a few other search engines aren't that far behind it. And of course, Facebook coming along and now wanting also to be a search engine, it's got massive competition. So it needs to make sure its content is relevant to users as well. So people look at Google as being nasty and it's just trying to make things difficult. It's actually just protecting its business model exactly the same as the rest of us are. Yeah, so once you can understand that, then you can work with it instead of trying to fight against it. And basically, Google just wants good websites, good content, and you as a business should really be looking at that as well. It's not much sense having a website if your users don't find the content on there any good. So
make sure you put good relevant content on there. And how can you find out what people want? So what are some ways that you can make sure that your content is relevant?
First thing that you really need to do, and this applies regardless of whether you're using Google or anything, in business, you really need to know your target audience. Okay, so most businesses look at their solution and they look at their product and then they sell their product. Okay, but most people, they're not looking for a solution and they're not looking for a product. They're looking for an answer to their problem. Okay, so most websites, they go and make it all about them. We've got a product, it does this, this, this. The users don't necessarily want that. What they have is a problem. So what you need to do when you're looking at your audience is have a look and see what is their problem and how can I help them with their problem. So give information, good quality information, engage them, and then you can sell them the solution once they know what the solution is and how it's going to help them fix their problem. Okay, so knowing your target audience is imperative. You need to know what they want, what their wants, needs, fears, and frustrations are, so that you can tailor your message to actually reach them. Everybody's got filters and they block a lot of things out. Okay, so what you need to know is how are you going to get your message through those filters so that they actually pay attention to them, and then you use that as content. So what we do with the hub sites is we put the content onto the hub sites, and then from there it gets auto posted out to social media sites, so that it's everything revolves around your website, and you're doing less work, of course, as well.
Interesting. So you said auto post then. So what program do you use to auto post from the hub site out to social media?
I've got one inbuilt that I've inbuilt to incorporate with my template. There's lots of different ways that you can do it depending on your media. There's a really nifty little one that's actually quite free that you can use. It's the ifttt.com. And that one you can actually set up with, it's a bit strange, they call them recipes, but the recipe is actually little things that you can go and look in. So one I've got running at the moment is that I'm testing is posting from Instagram over to Facebook. Okay, so that Facebook now owning Instagram, Facebook likes to keep people within its social media network. So instead of sending people back to your website, you send them to Instagram first. Facebook doesn't mind that because it owns Instagram, and then you send them from there to your website. Okay, so it's just playing the game, bearing in mind that all of these places, including Facebook, want to make money. Okay, they're a business.
So what was the name of that again? Because you said
yep, it's a website and it's IFTTT.
Okay, which stands for
if this, then that. Okay, so and you just set up a little recipe. Yep, and you can get a free account to that and set up different auto postings from different social media accounts, Google, Pinterest, all those sorts of things as well.
Wow, and that's free, completely free.
Yes,
great,
is.
Fantastic. It was a great nugget of gold there. Thank you for that. That's awesome. And so the world of social media now, how important is social media now with your online marketing and with SEO? Now, I must say, I often Google myself online just to see what's happening. And it's interesting, on page 1 of Google, my website comes up and then all my social media links come up: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+. YouTube, all come up on page one. And, you know, nowadays, I guess in the way the world works, you know, people will Google you when they're looking to do business with you. So how important now is it to be on social media, and how many social media do you need to be on to you know, make sure you're front of mind for people?
Yep. Social media at the moment it is very important for many reasons. Just a couple of them is, one, people expect you to have certain social media accounts. Two, you need to be where your users hang out. Okay, so even though I generally, when I'm creating sites for my clients, I will create 6 social media platforms. Okay, and they are Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Google Plus, and Pinterest. Okay, now when I'm creating them, the main thing I'm looking at is for SEO. Okay, some of it for engagement, but you want to be spending the most of your time where your user base hangs out. But with the old days of SEO and your website getting up in Google, one of the things used to be was backlinks back to your site. Okay, so the more backlinks you had back to your site, the more important you were perceived to be, or your site was perceived to be. And then, of course, everybody came along, they begged, borrowed, steal, did whatever they could to get backlinks back to their site. And Google realized that it wasn't an accurate measure of the worth of your site and the authority of your site. Okay, so creating a social media network of sites that are all branded up around, getting a following in that, there's your new authority, there's your new backlinking strategy. And as you mentioned yourself, your sites all come up and your social media sites come up. Once upon a time, you could get multiple sites of your website coming up and you could dominate the first page of Google that way. It's extremely hard to do that now, but you can actually use your social media sites. So depending on the competition with your name, or if you're, I'm not sure when you said you're coming up, whether it's for Aldwyn or whether it's for Media Mastery Show, but the more positions you take up on that page one, the less anybody else has got a chance of getting in there on that page one. So there's a lot of reasons why it is really, really important to use your social media. When I say use it, I'm talking about using it as an advertising platform. Okay, you do not want to create and have your business just in there because you then don't own it. Something could happen, one of the sites could go down, they could change their model. If you're not getting people off those sites and into your own list, then they own your list. So it's a bit difficult to market them. So look at social media as an advertising platform, getting your message out there to the masses, and that's why you want to concentrate most of your efforts where your user base hangs out. But yes, social media, you may not like it, but it's actually really, really important in today's online strategies. I tend to encourage clients to use a business and a personal profile, okay, because a business, it doesn't matter where you advertise, online or offline, as a business, because you stand to potentially make money, that business wants to make money from you, so they'll charge you. As a user, they need users in there, otherwise businesses aren't going to be there, so you can get away with a fair bit more as a user. So using both of them in conjunction with each other is actually a really good strategy.
Very good. I know a lot of people out there are very overwhelmed with the whole world of social media, and you know, up until 15 years ago or so, we didn't even have any social media. So it's amazing, you know, how fast things are changing. And now Facebook is like, it would be like the 7th planet, biggest country in the world if it was a country. It's like 1 billion plus people on Facebook now. It's very hard to ignore social media now, and I know people are worried about their personal information being out there and that sort of thing. So what would you say to people who are a bit hesitant about putting anything of their, you know, any of their personal information out there, and you know, what types of things they could post to still build engagement and not getting too personal, unless you want to, of course.
Absolutely. People, you've got to bear in mind that people deal with people rather than businesses. So having a mix, obviously anything that you don't want that out there in the public, you don't want to put up in social media, regardless of whether you're using it for business or for personal, because it's then accessible. You may think that you have it hidden, but you don't. So basically anything that you don't want or you don't think it's appropriate, don't put it online. It's as simple as that. But some things, people like to see that you're actually a human being. Okay, they actually like to see that, even sometimes that you make mistakes, that you have make errors, that you've got a life, and that you're actually dealing with people. But I mean, on Facebook, everybody's life is perfect. If you have, yeah, so there's not too many things that people put up on Facebook anyway, which doesn't show, you know, happy joy lives that we've all got. And that,
Yes.
but yeah, just be careful. Now, Facebook, a lot of people don't know, you can actually, if you were to use your personal Facebook for business, you can actually create lists in there as well, and then you can actually target people who you're posting to. Same as Google Plus, most of them can do that. So you can actually have a bit of control over who sees what by putting people into lists within Facebook itself. So if you wanted to use it, and you're connecting with family and that on there, and you don't want your business people to use it, then just create yourself a family list within Facebook and just post that purely to those family. Then the rest of the people
Okay.
don't see it.
And how do you do that? How do you create a list? Where do you go in Facebook? Do you know specifically without looking at it?
Yeah, so when, I mean, I know one of the things, when if somebody friends me, or if I friend somebody else, if somebody goes along and friends me, I always check out their profile. Okay, so just for security, I will go and have a look at their links. So even if it's somebody I know, I had somebody come through and send me a request the other day, and I thought to myself, I think I've already got her as a friend. And I went and had a look, and sure enough, her profile had been copied. Okay, so they copied her profile and tried to pretend that they were her. So I sent her a message and just said, hey, look, this is what's happening. Or I'll send a message and say, did you mean to create a new profile? Other things to look for: is there a profile picture? Does it look legitimate? Have they got posts? Have they got mutual friends? Have they been there for quite some time, or have they just created the profile? And if anything looks sus in the slightest, I will not add them, because then they've got access to more personal information, which means that what they can clone your information, which is something that you don't want. Other instances, they've messaged people in your friends list, because they then have access to that, and created some sort of an emergency and said, oh, look, you know, we need some money or something or other like that. So, but do be very careful of who you do add. Check them out first. When you do that and you accept it, you can hover your cursor or your mouse back over the friends button, or where it says we're now friends, and a list will drop down. So you can create lists, or Facebook actually have a couple of generic ones in there that you can put in there. For instance, there's one that's called restricted, and if you put people in there, they basically do not see anything on your wall whatsoever unless you make it public. And you can actually make up your own list as well. So with myself, I've got I do a bit in the motorcycle area, and then of course in the internet marketing. Those things don't often mix. So I'll have two different lists, and I'll post different things to those different niches. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. That's pretty cool. So they're segmenting, and of course Facebook is massively, you know, gathering information for advertising. Of course, Facebook advertising is huge now. A lot of people are going now from advertising in traditional media to advertising in Facebook, and you can just target so well on Facebook now. It's pretty phenomenal. So what about some tips on how to do Facebook advertising? Well, what sort of things to look out for when you're going to be putting ads on Facebook?
Okay, so just to clarify there, I'd love to give you some tips on the actual advertising portion of it. I'm organic. Okay, so what that means
Okay.
is basically I look at the free ways of getting your post out there in front of people. I'm not an expert. I mean, Facebook is just as bad as Google. So when it comes to Google, I'm good. When it comes to using paid advertising on Facebook, it's not somewhere that I get into. They've got just as much, if not more, rules than what Google has. What I do look at is the organic posting. So how to, what to post. And what I really like about Facebook as a strategy is you can really quickly throw up a post and see what reaction you get to it. And that can really help you find out what your clients' wants, needs, fears, and frustrations are. And then you know, and it can help you define your market message, because people will only share stuff on Facebook that either makes them look good emits an emotion or response, and they will share it because they think it's share worthy. You can get so much information, and now Facebook has got the little emoticons, not just a like button. You can actually get a really great deal of information of what your target market are thinking by doing test posting on Facebook. So that's where I specialise in when it comes to Facebook, is once again knowing your target market. That way we can then structure up content around their wants and needs instead of what you think they want. You can get some really good feedback from it.
That's great. And I love the fact that Facebook doesn't have a dislike or hate button. I love that. I love that it's like and love now, that they've expanded it to love. I think that's very cool, and that's positive media, which we need more of out there. So let's look at some organic ways now. I believe that photos and video are very powerful to have in your posts. What are some great things you would recommend? Obviously, test and measure, see what your market like, but as in types of posts, how long to make your post? Is there some generic sort of rules around posting, ways you can do it more effectively?
Yeah, there generally is. So most people have a blog on their site. Okay, so in its simplest terms, you could probably describe the hub site as an advanced blog, to put it in terminology. With your traditional blog, what you're doing is you're lumping in a whole heap of information in one area. Okay, so and it's got a use by date, because your traditional blog, it scrolls down, it goes to page 1, page 2, and everything like that. What we do is we actually categorize your information. So that's why we call it like an advanced blog, where we put categories in there so that when you know your target market and you know what their problem is, they will actually come in on the site in that area of interest. Because they've landed on that page, you get a little bit of insight of what their problem is. Okay, so just to quickly go through the steps, it can be a little bit complicated. You do a Google search yourself on your keyword. Have a look, and Google will give you a little bit of information about what people are actually searching on and what questions they're asking. Then you want to see and say, right, what is the common denominator around those particular questions and who are asking them? Then you can categorize those in an area, like just like a little bit like a mini website within your site. And then when people come into them, because they've seen one thing and they've come in on a search related to that, they can then see other answers that you already know is in their area of interest. So does that make sense? Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to explain that, but if you have a look at and do a Google search now, you'll see that it is very rare that the homepage comes up anymore. Okay, Google will bring up the page on your site that is directly related to the search. Okay, the homepage generally is not, because it's so broad. It's got so much information on it. Your homepage on your website, your traditional homepage, is where you would send your social media traffic to. Okay, all your pages, every other single page on your website is potentially your homepage. They can come in on any one of those pages. So when somebody does a search on how do I grow good strawberries, they will land, and if your page is optimized correctly, it will come up for that search. When they come to your site, you know what they're searching on. They've landed on the page which says, how do I grow good strawberries? So you know what their area of interest is. So what you want to do is make sure that they see links there to other answers around strawberries. Okay, so you can engage them. But once again, if you've got a product, and if you're targeting how do I grow strawberries, we would assume you would have, then you can actually then give them a great deal of information, show them that you're an authority. They can see that you know what you're talking about. Therefore, they're more likely to buy your product. So Google traffic is known as cold traffic. We want to warm them up by providing great information, show that you are an expert in the area, and then they're a lot easier to sell to. So then you send them over to your sales page or your product or whatever it is that you're selling.
Fantastic tips there. Now, we've got a few people live on the show here, which is fantastic. Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions whatsoever, please pop them in the Q&A box there. Just pop your questions in and we can answer them live on the show if you've got any questions at all about organic SEO, free organic traffic methods we're talking about today with Kim Atkins, and we're talking about social media hub sites and how best to make them work to boost your mass media exposure and leads. And we've talked about ideal target audiences, being really clear on your audiences. Now, why old methods of SEO don't work anymore, we've talked about that as well, and how to use social media to grow your business organically. So we've talked a little bit about Facebook. Now, Google Plus is pretty massive and pretty heavily underutilized, I would say. And I'm always amazed on page one of Google how much my Google Plus posts actually appear on page one of Google. And they might be posts that I posted 6 months ago, random posts that just appear if I just Google my name. So that's very interesting. So can we talk a little bit about Google Plus and how important that is for your SEO and for your business?
Yeah, I mean, to me, Google Plus is the platform. Yeah, as far as search goes, it's the social media platform. Funny enough, when you set this up yesterday, a search on website SEO chick had it coming up number 3, just
Wow.
on the event. Yep, and so
Wow.
that I think was probably within about 15 minutes of you actually setting it up. So
Wow.
that is pretty fast. So videos live like you're doing now, as I said, Google loves fresh content that people are going to be interested in. So Google it's a Google platform. Google and YouTube, extremely important for SEO. The whole Google Plus thing, yes, it's changing, it's developing. Where it's going to end up, I find that people find it a little bit scary to work out how to use, but I think it's because it's similar to Facebook, but it's just got enough differences to make it confusing. But Google, I mean, as I said, I would love to encourage clients to be using Google Plus more. I find they're a little bit scared and a little bit wary of it. And as I say, we auto post. So when any of the content that goes up on the website, we auto post out to Google Plus. I find the clients then don't need to worry about it too much and getting in there and doing bits and pieces. But it has massive results. You can pretty much guarantee that for the article, as soon as it starts coming up in Google Plus, it's going to come up in the organic rankings for your website not long after. So it's an amazing platform when used properly and used right. Even more so if you've got a local bricks and mortar business, if that's what you'd like to call it. You've got your local pages. So if you have people that are coming to your location, you can actually have a maps page. There was 7 listings originally. They've actually cut it down now to 3. So the competition's a little bit more fierce. But if your local Google Plus page is coming up in those 3 listings, makes a massive difference. One of the things that we probably haven't touched on is mobile and the mobile search. Now, coming up in that and having your Google coming up in your mobile is very important. People on mobile, they're at a faster pace. They're looking really quick. And if your Google comes up and everything like that, they can grab your phone number, they can grab your contact details, link to your website, and Google actually provides really good analytics as well within the back end of it, so you can actually see what's working and what's not. So the other social media sites that we set up mostly is for posting. When you're talking engagement and the SEO components, depending on your target market, LinkedIn, if you're looking at more business to business, or if your product is a little bit more serious in nature, LinkedIn is probably your place to be. Once again, an amazing platform. LinkedIn, you would probably work your personal social a little bit more than your business page. Still have a business page, but use your social to share it. The business pages aren't huge on the following. But once again, I don't know if you know the story, and if anybody's Googling me at the moment, I used to be all over page 1 for Kim Atkins. Okay, until Kim Kardashian decided to start doing the Atkins diet. So for some reason or other, I just found the competition there just a little bit too fierce, and I let it go for a little while, but one of my profiles that, I mean, I've normally got about 3 or 4 links on there. I used to have the 10, but one of them that has never lost position at all is my LinkedIn. Okay, it's been steadfast for the last, I've been on LinkedIn since day dot, pretty much, like most of the rest of them, and it has never lost its rankings or positions and everything like that. So even if you're on there enough and create a profile, that you want it to be consistent, you want to grab your vanity URLs, and you want it consistent with your branding, so that you can get that flow through effect in the search. Yeah, but
I love LinkedIn, and I've actually just hit 10,000 followers on LinkedIn just recently, which is awesome. And I just love it because most of the people on there are business owners, and you really can, target specific business owners quite easily through, even through second, third connections, just sending a little message saying, can you connect me with so and so. So it's a great way to really access movers and shakers out there. What are some other tips for for LinkedIn? So how your posts would be different, say, on LinkedIn versus Facebook?
LinkedIn, because what you post, no matter what your content is, what you need to do is think of your target audience. Okay, so who it is that you're targeting, and you need to tailor your message to them. So on Facebook, it's not really a buyer's market. People are on there to, if you're targeting businesses or internet marketers on there, that might be a little bit different because they're actually also using Facebook for business. But if you're using Facebook to target normal Facebook users that are on there just to socialize, then you need to socialize with them. Okay, so coming in with the hard and heavy and the big social, the big sales posts and everything like that is not going to work. Okay, they're just not going to react. They'll get basically banner blindness. They won't take effect. So basically, if you've got products like shoes and makeup products, all those sorts of things, you can get those out to people a lot easier. If you're looking at something of a bit more serious nature, you may need to think outside the box. Okay, and always remember that you're targeting the problem. Okay, think about one of the examples I used with a client the other day. Okay, so if you open up your awareness, you're driving up the highway, you're going at 110 kilometers an hour, that's doing the speed limit, and a banner pops out at you. Okay, take a quick second to think about why. Okay, how is it related to you? Why did that grab your attention? Was it the colors? Was it the image? Was it the message? And it may not even be in your niche and your topic, but just have a think about it and think, right, so why did that attract my attention? Now, in Facebook, for instance, people scroll down. What you want to do is have something that is going to grab their attention. Now, this is going to sound, might not be quite the right thing to say, but people are inherently all about me. Okay, so what can you do for me, or how is that going to affect me? Or they might have a problem that they're not concentrating on every day, but it's always in the back of their mind. Okay, so this is when it comes down to knowing what people's problems are. They're going to be more likely to pay attention and take that split second to stop as they're going down the Facebook highway if your billboard or your post stops them just for a second. That's all you need to do, is just grab their attention for 1 second. Now, the other thing that happens as you're going down that highway, you might see a car and you might notice that there's a message on that car, and you notice the message, but the call to action you don't actually take any notice of. Okay, or you're driving in a car. So people put stuff on their car, but they don't actually think what people are going to do with it. So when you're doing your Facebook thing, also have a think about what actions you want people to take. Okay, do you want them to like the post, or do you want them to do something? So have a look at your message. 1, you want them to stop and actually take notice. 2, what is the message that you want them to do? So a lot of people throw up memes, but if that meme, your image with your text on the image, if that's not relevant to your target audience, then you might get a heap of likes, but they're what I call vanity figures. Okay, they may make you feel good, and you might think, oh wow, I got a lot of likes on that post, but they don't actually achieve anything. So a little bit of thought into it. What is your message? Know your target audience. I keep coming back to that all the time. Know your people.
Well, we know the sex sells, and on the highway from Brisbane to the Gold Coast, there's a big stripper sign up on the right-hand side that I always tend to notice, and it's got bikini girls there. I just wish they put some bikini boys on there, but well, you know, some good-looking boys. But anyway, you know, you can't help but notice because, you know, they're bikini girls, and I'm sure there's been a lot of accidents around that spot around Logan on the highway. So sex, you know, sex and sexy things often sell. Obviously, cute animal things often I get a great response on, or kids, and you know, funny little things like that, which you know, might have nothing to do with your branding, but I guess it would help build engagement. It shows you're human. People like funny things, don't they? They like things that, you know, things that kind of shock them. You know. And there's some very clever ads out there that that use all those, you know, that use, you know, violence, sex, action to really, you know, make a point. And I guess you could be creative with some advertising. Use things like Canva, canva.com, canva.com. You can put together some interesting images and do some quotes or some interesting sayings around some interesting visuals with using something like that. So you know, you can be quite creative and use things like that are going to really step out and grab you, I guess. So let's look at some other social media now. So you mentioned also Pinterest, which is Pinterest is a fast-growing platform, as Instagram is, and Instagram's obviously from the phone. So that would be hard to do for other people because you need to do it from your phone, right? So, however, it is fast growing, and I think it's important to be on there. And now there's social media influencers out there. So I know, for example, like my background is traditional media. I've worked as a journalist for years, and you know, we get VIP passes to things because of the reach that we can have with our traditional media. Now there's social media influencers, and what I'm finding often is that media for mills I go on as a journalist. I find other social media influencers now, with people with over 5,000 likes or friends or whatever, you know, are now getting free tickets to things because, you know, they're seen as social media influencers, and it's becoming like the new wave of online journalists, you know, almost, you know, or reporters, or so this is an interesting transition I've just seen with that type of media. So let's look at Pinterest, and what is Pinterest? How does it work, and why should people be on Pinterest?
So Pinterest, once again, the reasons I really like it is, and once again, we do the auto posting, but you can actually manually post. Once again, look at those images. So just to go back to the Facebook, once you've tested your image on Facebook, use that in an article. As I mentioned before, that gets auto posted out. You already know the image is going to attract attention. So when it gets auto posted out to Pinterest, it is going to be stopping people looking through their Pinterest feed. Okay, and Pinterest is perfect because it actually contains a link straight back to your website. Okay, so they may only see the image, and you might think, oh, I'm not a big image orientated site, but don't forget, you only need to grab their attention for 1 second. Grab their attention, get their interest, and back to their website you go. Okay, so it's really, really good as a backlinking strategy from something that you control. Okay, so backlinking, you can still do it, but the beauty about using social media is you have control over it. You haven't got random sites linking back to your website. And if you've got some followers and everything, every social media platform, and you just touched on it there before, has got a certain number of followers that you need before you start getting taken seriously. LinkedIn is one of the easiest ones. It only shows 500 contacts. So once you get over 500 contacts, people need to do a little bit more searching to actually see how many people you've got. Google Plus, I believe you can't even get start doing Google advertising in Google Plus until you've got 1,000 followers. Pinterest, they don't seem to be overly worried, but I haven't quite worked out what the magic number is. But the point is that once you go over that magic number, people start following you. they start looking at you as being a major influencer, and they start coming back to you. Instagram, I wasn't, because it's not that good for SEO. I hadn't done a great deal in there, and almost thought I'd missed the boat with Facebook buying it, and all the advertising strategies going in there, and me being more free organic search. I decided to have a little bit of play just with my own profile, and I started off, I think, with about 250 followers in there, and I think in a month I'm up to, and I would need to check it, but I think about 4,300. And lots of likes on the posts. I'm in the hundreds of posts. Those same posts are getting posted out to Facebook, and I might get 3 or 4, maybe sometimes 10. On Instagram, I'm getting a couple of hundred on them. And what I found, once I went over the 1,000, people are adding me. Okay, so you may need to do a little bit of work initially. Fill out your profiles properly so that you look like somebody that people would want to connect to. Take the time to fill it out properly. Put in your branding image, which should be the same across all the social media platforms, so it starts getting a little bit recognizable. And do a little bit of work initially to start getting some followers, and then after that they start coming to you, because you start looking like an authority in the niche. People want to know you. They want to they think you're an influencer, so they either want to get to know you for maybe joint venture opportunities, or because everybody else thinks. It's a little bit like the old days with Google. Google used to think the more links you had coming to your website, the more your authoritative you were. Well, now the more followers you have, the more important you look.
And it does build momentum. It's kind of like that exponential curve, doesn't it? So if you've been in social media for a while and you don't feel you're getting much traction, that's okay. Hang in there, because if you feel like you're going like this, it will, the curve will tip and it will start to go like that. And that's what I found with my social media. It really, really took off. And I've actually got quite a few profiles online, and I've got a copycat out there. There's a blonde Aldwyn Altuney out there on Facebook who is not me. I would just like to say they didn't even use my photo. They've got some other random blonde image. Anyway, it's definitely not me. So then you'll start getting stalkers and people copying your profile for whatever reason, and it's weird. But there's all sorts out there. So yeah, very good. So Pinterest, really, it's like a board. You can pin a whole lot of things to, pin articles, pin quotes to, segment it into different groups, which I love. And you can really build your brand. Like, I've got a few media pages on my Pinterest, a few animal pages. I've got links to all my shows, the Truth Xpose TV, Media Mastery Show, and Animal Action TV. So I've got pages for all of that. So cross-branding across all the different platforms is really good as well. Let's look at YouTube. YouTube is, we've got YouTube Live coming soon. Right now we're speaking on Google Hangouts Live on air. However, YouTube Live is going to be coming up as of September 12, which is in just a few days' time, which will be an interesting transition from Google Hangouts Live on air, and very interesting to see what's happening there. And of course, YouTube is a massive search engine. A lot of people are going now to online TV now, and not so much traditional TV. So there's a big movement with YouTube. So could you give us some tips, Kim, about how to use YouTube effectively? And while you're doing that, if anyone on this call right now has any questions, please pop them in the Q&A box, and we'll get to those later if you have questions. If you don't, that's fine. If you do, pop them in there, and we'll see if we can get to them on this show before we wrap up. So YouTube, back to YouTube. How can we use YouTube effectively? How important is video marketing for us nowadays? And what's the future with YouTube and business?
Yep. So once again, my main strategy is to keep everything, don't rely. So use the social media sites as a tool, not necessarily that something that you need to rely on. So just say, for instance, the unthinkable happens and YouTube disappears tomorrow. You don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. So what we look at doing is putting your YouTube videos up in there, but also embedding it into your website. Okay, now YouTube is actually really, really getting advanced on their speech to text in there. So you can actually get your transcript pretty well without even having to go out to a transcript for your video. Use that as the content for an article. Okay, so not everybody, I myself, I'm not a video watcher. I prefer to read. I can read a lot quicker than it would take me to listen to an hour video. Okay, I like to read, I like to skim it, and I like to move on. So just remember that all your audience are going to have different ways of wanting to listen to your thing. So what we generally do is we put the video up into YouTube using the same strategies as we do to research for the content, so any articles and everything like that, because we're still after the searches and we want to come up for searches that we know people are looking on to get to your products. And then we embed that in the website, and we actually use the transcript as the content, because Google can't actually see the video and the content of the video in your website. So we use that transcript. And the beauty of it is just by popping a video up, creating a quick, even if it's a couple of minute video, you've got a video, you've got an article. When you connect your YouTube with your Google Plus account, it goes into Google Plus automatically as well. So there's another area where it is, and it's on your website. You've got 3 avenues of people coming in. The main thing to remember is that people can view that video in those 3 different places. Remember to put a call to action on it. Don't just leave them hanging at the end of the video. Remember to tell them what you want them to do. Okay, whether it's just coming back to your website, just remember to have a call to action and let them know what the next steps is and what you want them to do. But YouTube, there's a lot of different ways that you can search to find content, have a look and see what it is that you want to go up in. I am in the middle actually of creating a course on how you can actually get up there for your search, your search terms and everything like that. It used to be that Google was a lot more lax on YouTube as far as spamming, putting lots of keywords in and everything like that. They're tightening down on that because Facebook has got the war as well. They want to be the new YouTube. As soon as that's all sorted and everything like that, the rules will get stricter on the search. So I'm actually putting something together around that at the moment, and what terms to use and the best descriptions and things like that when you're putting up your YouTube.
Interesting. Yeah, very, very good. And of course, there's things like meta tags that you can, all these little tags and links and hashtags and things you can put in your video too to help it rank higher for your search terms. Yeah, very exciting. Do you know much about the YouTube Live that's starting at all?
I haven't, I don't know a great deal. What I do know, and this is interesting because you confirmed it yesterday when you did this, is you can actually use the live strategy to test certain key phrases, okay? Because you can actually do up and create a couple of different live events with a different subject line, put it up in Google. Google loves it, so it'll actually pop up on page 1 pretty quickly, and you can test your headline. Okay, then whichever one gets the most traction, that's where you then know what to do your live subject on. So you can actually use Google in conjunction with live to test and measure what your message should be and what's going to get the most interaction and engagement. So that's pretty cool. I've been playing with that, but the actual live itself, yeah, waiting for that button. But no, it's actually really exciting, yeah.
Yeah, well, Facebook Live's been organically pushing up Facebook Live posts, I know, for people because they've really been trying to push that. So I would imagine YouTube Live would probably be doing something similar. They're launching a new type of software, I guess, a new thing. They're launching a new thing. They want people to be on it and use it. So I would imagine it would be a great way to increase your organic traffic as well, which is what we're talking about here. And now let's go to Twitter. Now Twitter is, I know there's lots of media people, journalists, great way to connect with the media on Twitter. They love it, and of course celebrities and all that sort of thing as well. They are huge on Twitter. Kim Kardashian, I'm sure, would be huge on Twitter. We prefer you though to Kim Kardashian here. So Twitter now, Facebook and Twitter are really probably the two biggest social media out there, and you'll see links now with traditional media. You'll see links saying connect on Facebook or tweet your comments here, and I often actually do that as a strategy. I don't want to make a comment on, and they've got the Twitter hashtag there. I will just hop on there and I'll put the little Twitter hashtag, and I've actually had things retweeted by people on the show that have gone to thousands of people. So I think it's really important to get active when you see that on traditional media. You see hashtags and Facebook and links and all sorts of things. Get active and link the two together. So let's talk about Twitter. How does Twitter work, and how can people use that in their business?
Okay, so one of the things that we generally do is we will link Facebook, so your Facebook business page with Twitter, okay, so that anything that you put on Facebook goes out to Twitter, and doesn't seem to mind that from an SEO point of view and everything like that. So to do that, all you need to do is be logged into your Twitter account and then go to facebook.com/Twitter. And if you've got multiple pages, of course, you need to make sure that each page is connected to the right Twitter account. So you just log in and out of the correct Twitter account, and then you can link those out from there. Twitter can be used for so many things, like support, which I find is quite a large one that people use it for. Some people are a bit worried about the limitation with the the amount of characters, and that it truncates it, and it actually creates its own little bit.ly link, and that coming back to your post. One of the things that we incorporate in the website is the social signals. So we also make sure that we put them in, and we configure the Twitter cards. Okay, now they, from a search engine point of view, are extremely effective. So having them configured in your website and linked to Twitter in the back end, so in the source code, that's where all of that goes on. So your normal user is not going to see it, but it's actually communicating with Twitter, with your posts and everything like that. So having your Facebook, your Twitter, and your website all connected is a really powerful algorithm to get, once again, your message out there. And then yes, you've got the engagement side of it, as I said, so you can be using it to get a short message out. A lot of us use it for quick and easy support. If you've got it, your hashtag or whatever it is that you want, that you're continually using. So Twitter by itself, from an SEO point of view, I don't find it actually getting, I mean, your Twitter will come up by itself, but like Facebook, your actual posts don't. So you may have noticed when you're looking at yours, even with Facebook, your page will come up or your personal profile will come up, but your actual posts don't. Okay, so it's not actually spreading the content message. It's more a direct person. So once again, getting your followers up in Twitter so that people are actually following you, or as you said, having content that people are going to repost and share.
And something I do a lot with my social media is, if I see something interesting, rather than just sharing from, and download the image and repost it as myself or as my page, so that when people share it, they're not sharing from the original person that shared it, but from, it's actually going to have your branding on it. So I think that's a really good tip, to actually, post so that it looks like it's your original post. I don't always do that. Sometimes I just share from others, but I think that's a good thing if you're looking to brand something.
Yeah, you do need to be a little bit careful that the content is easily attainable, that it's not their copyrighted image or anything like that that you're sharing. So you do need to be a little bit careful that you're not sharing something that is theirs. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no, what I mean, I guess, is quotes that might have a link to a website on the actual quote, like on a Canva image or something like that. So something like that as well. Yeah, that kind of thing, where you know that it's already attributed somewhere on the actual image, and download it. Yeah, but obviously not people. So yes, absolutely. Be careful about what you download and repost.
Yes, you do need to be a little bit careful.
Yes. So what about some other, we've talked a lot about social media. What about some other free organic traffic methods that people can use? What else can people do to boost their business online? We've talked about article marketing. Are there certain article sites that you'd recommend that that people put their posts on, or article? Yeah, what other methods
Yeah, no, not generally.
could we?
I don't know if people have heard of the Panda and the Penguin. They were the two massive updates. One of them sort of targeted the backlinking, the other one targeted sort of content and what you had on there. The article sites and posting on article sites and having them backlink back to your website basically got blown out of the water at that stage. It was looked at as an underhand tactic. So if you are going to do either guest posting or things like that, you do need to know what you're doing and be very, very careful with it. Google is now looking at you as who you associate with online. Okay, so if you've got posts on another website, so Ease on Articles was one that actually took a huge hit. If you've got articles on there and they're linking back to your website, you can go down by association. Okay, so you've got to be really careful. They're actually looking at who you know online. So you've got to be careful who you associate with. So if you're looking at having links on other people's site, just make sure that they're actually doing things properly, not doing anything black hat or anything like that. Doing reciprocal linking and everything like that. Once again, that used to be absolutely huge. Not so much anymore. The sites need to be relevant. Directories still work. Okay, so putting your links on relevant directories, so long as it's in your niche and it's relevant to your target audience and everything, that can still work. There's a whole heap of other Web 2.0 sites, they were called. It's a little bit passe now, but Tumblr is one that I play around with quite a lot, and there's a couple of other ones like that as well. So directory sites, getting on directories. If you've got a business, an actual really good one, believe it or not, is white pages. Okay, so if you don't have a problem with your location being known, then you can actually get a free white page listing for your business name. Okay, for myself, I generally work out of my home office and don't particularly want that all over the internet. So I think I paid something like $50 or something just to have the address suppressed, and got the white pages listing. That's quite effective, way more effective than the yellow pages one. Yeah, I didn't just say that. Yeah, so directories and all those sorts of things help. One of the biggest things is getting people to talk about you, like word of mouth advertising. It doesn't matter what happens, how things change. At the end of the day, people promoting your products in word of mouth, and just think about social media now as word of mouth advertising. I got on the other day, I needed a mechanic. I went on there and I wanted a mobile mechanic. I went on there. Anybody know a good local mechanic? I had a couple of people come back with suggestions. I took one of them. Done. So much easier, and you get that, hey, it's a good mobile mechanic. So in the olden days, you would have rung a friend. Now I just popped on Facebook and did it, and that. So getting people to just provide good value, getting people to actually talk about you, deliver a great service, and reviews. So you may notice with our websites we put in, it's a bit of a new language that Google's using called schema. Okay, a really clear visual one of that is when you're doing searching, you might see star ratings come up beside different things. That's in reviews, not testimonials. Google doesn't like testimonials, it likes reviews. So a testimonial is normally about a person, whereas a review is about a service or a product, and that's what Google wants to see. So incorporating reviews, feedback, whether it's on Facebook, Google, on your website, whatever it is, that's your new form of word of mouth advertising. So I guess if I was going to say, especially for service orientated business, get people talking about you. And don't be afraid to ask. You know, if somebody buys something, oh, would you mind? Most people will jump. If you give them bad service, they'll jump within an instant, and it'll be all over social media, and they'll be saying, oh, you're the worst person ever, and that. But most people don't think to say something nice. But if you ask them, it's not that they don't want to, it's just that they haven't thought about it. So incorporate a strategy where you're actually having a review or a testimonial feedback come back. It helps you with your product, it helps you with your delivery. Half the time somebody may not like your product, and they're not going to tell you. You just never see them again. Ask the question, do it in a non-threatening manner, and get that back, and then use that. Don't cheat with it. But Google and the sites, they're savvy enough to know if you're making them up, so don't cheat. And with a couple of businesses that I've involved in, it is not unusual for them to track down the person. You want the testimonial to have a name, preferably a location if you can, even a website. The more legitimate it looks, the better it is for not just search but for users as well. But don't be surprised if they track down that testimonial and actually ask. People are doing the research now. Just about everybody's been burnt online in some way, shape, form or another. People are starting to research, so don't put up dodgy reviews. If you do, don't be surprised when somebody comes back and calls you on it. So yeah,
Yes.
just be real.
Yep. Yes, and it's totally out of integrity to do that anyway, so we want to keep it truthful here. And if people do get bad reviews, what do you suggest they do about that?
Okay, so you're better off answering it. Now, there's some people that just aren't going to be satisfied. They're having a go. You are better off answering it as best you possible. Be nice, be polite, don't get drawn into the argument. Think that other people are watching how you deal with it. If they're being unreasonable, it will come across. Okay, so just be real. If you can sort out the problem, do so. If you think that they are being unreasonable, take it offline. So turn around and say, look, okay, so what we'll do is we'll send you an inbox message if it's on Facebook, or we'll send you an email, and we will try to resolve this for you. Take it offline and take it out of the line of public media. So, but I've got a client that's a Harley Davidson dealer over in Western Australia, and no, the odd occasion when somebody has come onto his Facebook page and said something bad, he doesn't even need to comment. His fans come on there and they're just full on in there. You know, they're just defending him to the hilt, and he doesn't need to say a thing. So that's great customer service. But yeah, answer them. That you don't want to look sus. And look, at the end of the day, if you've done something wrong, admit it. People are dealing with humans. Everybody makes mistakes. Just own up to it and do what you can to fix it. So yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting, you know, with certain social media, you can actually, you know, you can obviously, you can delete posts. You can, if people are being really nasty, which I actually had one recently on, I did a Truth Expose TV interview with a guy called Ethan Gutman. I was talking about forced organ transplants in China, and I had a YouTube user called Falun Gong Cult or something like that, right, that came on and said lies. You know, they just came on like just really blasting every single comment on the YouTube post, and YouTube actually allowed me to, to actually either accept those posts or not accept those posts. So I actually wrote to him and I said, well, you know, what proof do you have that these are lies of what this guy's saying? And we just kept going on with rubbish and profanities. And so then I just reported him to YouTube and I just delete the post. So some people are just really outrageous, and it doesn't matter what you say, you just can't reason with them. There's no point even entertaining the conversation. You know, that will happen occasionally, and that's where that delete button is fantastic, and where you reported a spam or abusive content on YouTube, things like that. So that's great that you can actually do that too. So I think the main thing is, you know, be as truthful and honest and as good as you can with what you do. You know, deliver great service, and then there won't be a problem. You know, then you'll have your fans raving about you, and you know, in fact, deliver exceptional service. That will be even better. Yeah, really do the best you can. Now we need to wrap up fairly soon. So, Kim, it's been awesome to chat with you. How can people work with you if they want to get some free organic traffic out there and really boost their business and boost their social media? How can they work with you?
Okay, so I've got a site at the moment. It is actually a little bit under development. So we're just doing some rebranding and everything like that. So that's digitalhubsites.com. Okay, and we're actually the team is busy in the background. I thought, okay, so thank you for having me on the show. And that we're just doing up a little bit of a report. Hopefully, it will be finished and ready to download by the time we finish up here, for users to go on and to grab that report, which contains a bit of information over what we've discussed, but probably a little bit more structured manner. And that, so people can pop over to digitalhubsites.com and download that from there. And or if you can contact me on my business Facebook page, which is Elite Hub Sites, and that's just on Facebook there. So.
Fantastic. Elite Hub Sites on Facebook to catch up with the lovely Kim Atkins. She is the expert in all things website SEO and on top of her game. Thank you so much, Kim, for joining us. We haven't had any questions come in, so we've obviously answered everyone's questions really well. However, if you're watching this after the event, please do comment, ask your questions on the YouTube video. If you like what you see, share the love and subscribe to my channel, Aldwyn Altuney, and share this video. Let your friends know about it, because we have shared absolute gold on this show today. Kim, any final words before we wrap up?
I'd just like to say thank you very much for having me on the show. This is my first interview, so I hope it's going okay. I've spoken on stage before in front of a whole heap of people, but this is my first Google Live Hangout. So thank you very much for the experience. It's been great.
Awesome. Well, I'm honoured to have done your very first interview on Google Hangouts live on air. That is fantastic. And we've got in just before it's gone to YouTube live. So this is a moment in history here today. And anyone watching this show, you have just witnessed history in the making here. And no doubt there'll be many more interview requests after people see this one, because you really do know your stuff and you're awesome. Thank you so much, Kim. Thanks to everyone watching this right now. I'm about to run off and do a Truth Xpose TV show very soon with Tony Den. And he has prostate cancer, and he's going to talk about the truth around prostate cancer and living with cancer. So if that interests you, then hop on to Truth Xpose TV. The link is on all my social media, of course, and Google Plus, etc., etc. So you can connect with me personally on aaxpose.com. That's XPOSE, aaxpose.com, or just Google my name. Love to connect on social media. Love to see your comments, feedback, questions, and love to connect with you online. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks once again, Kim, and we will see you again online shortly. And it really is about stepping up, stepping out, and making the difference you're here to make in the world. And thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining us today and for your time. Thanks so much, Kim.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Catch you again soon. Bye for now.